This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our flagship show Marijuana Today, as well as the weekly podcasts Green Rush and Weed Wonks, which can be found respectively over at greenrushpodcast.net and weedwonks.com. If you have a legal marijuana product, service, or brand that you want to market to the best audience in legal marijuana, then zip me an email to learn how to get started. You can reach me at shay@mjtodaymedia.com, with Shay spelled S-H-E-A. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, February 26th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 892 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. As he often does, Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment leads off the news today with a good piece on last night's Democratic presidential debates held in South Carolina. The stage featured 7 candidates in all, with Michael Bloomberg, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Amy Klobuchar, and Tom Steyer all fighting it out on the issues. As Kyle has it, marijuana came up during the debates when Senator Amy Klobuchar was asked about Senator Bernie Sanders' pledge to legalize cannabis on his first day in office. This is one of those stories that you really just need to read in full, preferably along with watching clips of the debate itself. Again, it's just nice to see marijuana embraced as a mainstream topic in Democratic politics. Chris Moore over at Mary Jane picked up on an interesting report just issued in Massachusetts by the state's Cannabis Control Commission that takes a comprehensive look at how things have gone for the state's legal marijuana industry. One of the interesting bits contained within the 67-page report, which you can and should download yourself via Chris's story, is a section mentioning that limiting customer access by restricting the opening of new dispensaries might be useful as a tool to reduce marijuana use. Given that Massachusetts has very few adult use stores open right now relative to its population with just 32 operational, the mention of limiting shops to cut down on cannabis consumption might give you some insight on why. Or at least it might help explain a little bit the mindset of some of Massachusetts' marijuana regulators. Take some time and give this one a read. There's lots to learn no matter where you do business. Kyle's back with our final top story today as he details a wonderful story out of Virginia, where the state Senate on Monday passed a bill that legalizes smokable hemp. The legislation, HB 962, was passed by the Senate by a count of 37-3 and would make it legal for people to smoke industrial hemp flower, just as long as it was below the legal threshold for THC required of hemp. It is expected that Virginia Governor Ralph Northam will sign the bill into law. What I love most about this legislation is how hard it will make life for Virginia police, who are most likely going to be forced, like cops have been in other states like Georgia and Florida, to stop busting people for any kind of marijuana flower, given the expense and additional logistics involved with testing small amounts of marijuana for the presence of THC. So kudos to everyone involved with this. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our flagship show, Marijuana Today, as well as the weekly podcasts, Green Rush and Weed Wonks. If you have any kind of marketing budget deployed in legal marijuana, you need to be spending some of that with us here at MJ Today Media. Here's why. There's no better medium around than podcasting for telling a story. It's better than the written word and even better than video. And when it comes to this industry of ours, we have the deepest and broadest reach, with tens of thousands of industry folks listening in to our shows each day and each week. Think about how valuable it would be for you if you could put your product up on stage in front of 30,000 people, most of whom either work in the industry or who are actively transitioning in. That's what MJ Today Media can offer you. If you want to market to the legal marijuana industry in the best and most cost-effective way possible, then email me today and get on our advertising schedule as a sponsor. You can reach me at shay@mjtodaymedia.com, with Shay spelled S-H-E-A. That's shay@mjtodaymedia.com. All right, time for the blitz. Mexican Senator Ricardo Monreal announced on Monday that lawmakers in that nation are moving ahead this week with work on rolling out adult use legalization. We've been tracking this long-running storyline for a good while now, as the Mexican Supreme Court ordered in 2018 that federal prohibition on marijuana be lifted, given a deadline for action last year that was later kicked to this spring. Senator Monreal said that 4 legislative committees will be working on draft legislation this week, and that Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has signed off on the efforts. This next story needs an obvious disclosure as it concerns our sponsor, Eaze, a California-based delivery company. Deborah Borchardt over at Green Market Report is reporting that Eaze just announced that it has raised $35 million in a Series D round of funding, and that it has access to an additional $20 million if it chooses, and that it was moving into a vertically integrated business model where it would own and control marijuana cultivation and sales in addition to its delivery model that it was founded on. That's rather big news right there. Last year, Eaze acquired interest in dispensaries located in Oakland and San Francisco and said that it would also be launching soon its own brand of products. The nation of Paraguay just issued 12 vertically integrated marijuana licenses as it works to roll out a legal medical marijuana program. Alfredo Pascual over at Marijuana Business Daily has the full list of winners and additional details on this storyline, including the fact that it's not 100% clear yet if those 12 winners will be able to grow high THC cannabis, as currently Paraguayan law limits legal marijuana to having less than 0.5% THC, or as we usually call it, hemp. There is talk that those laws setting a limit of 0.5% THC will be changed, but we'll have to wait and see how it actually shakes out. Marijuana Business Daily's chart of the week shows how Montana's ranks of registered medical marijuana patients have tracked over the last 5 years, growing from 13,431 in 2016 to its current level of 38,873 today. As with all of Marijuana Business Daily's charts, there's lots of good accompanying background and detail here, so swing over if you want. The Growth Op takes an interesting look at the issue of how old you have to be to sell legal marijuana. In this case, focusing up in Canada on the Nipissing First Nation of Ontario, which limits legal marijuana purchasing to those 21 years of age and up, but that just dropped the age that you have to be employed within the industry to 19. Tribal leaders said the move was to give opportunities to young people just out of school who are interested in making a career in legal cannabis. And finally for today, UK-based GW Pharmaceutical just released its latest financial results as it saw $109.1 million in revenue for the fourth quarter ending December 31st and $311.3 million on the year. The company saw strong sales of its cannabis-derived medicine Epidiolex as it generated the vast bulk of its income last year, pulling down $296.4 million in sales. GW Pharmaceutical realized a net loss of just $9 million last year on those numbers, which is way less than the $305 million loss it booked in 2018. New Cannabis Ventures has more numbers here if you need them. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.